Hello, I'm Elizabeth Kane. I'm an artist based in the northeast of England, and in this video we're going to be doing some drawing challenges made possible thanks to the People's Postcode lottery. For these challenges you'll need 3 sheets of paper, a pencil, pencil sharpener, eraser, pen, some coloured pencils and something to hold 2 pencils together, something like sellotape. You might also like to have something to draw from, like a picture of a tree in a book, a photograph or online, a pine cone, a holly leaf, or a Christmas ornament. Finally, there are some things that can help but aren't essential: scraps of paper to rest your hand on or mask parts of your drawing, and a big brush to wipe away anything that you rub out. Now might be a good time to press pause and come back when you've got those things gathered. Brilliant, well done getting all that together. So let's get stuck in and make sure our minds are warmed up. Let's do some thinking. First, a question. What do you think makes a good drawing? You might have to think about that on your own, but it'd be great if you could talk to somebody in your house about it. Don't worry, I'll share my ideas too. Why don't you press pause now and have that chat? Did you come up with an answer? When I was little, I thought a good drawing was something that looked a lot like the thing you were drawing. Or it might have been a drawing that took a long time to make. Now I'm a grown-up, I still really like realistic drawings that look like what they're supposed to be. I also really admire people who spend a long time working on one drawing, trying their best to make it really, really exciting to look at. But I also like drawings that are weird, the ones that some people might say have gone a bit wrong, because they're unique. I don't think there's such a thing as a wrong drawing. I like drawings for different reasons, so drawings that are made to help share an idea, an invention, or tell us something. I like drawings made by lots of people all together. That means they're really exciting and people have to compromise and make decisions together. I like quick drawings, I like doodles that are just for fun. I like drawings that help us remember things. Why am I sharing this? Because if we can make a mark with a pencil, we can draw. Think about how much control you have to have over a pencil to write letters or numbers. You need to make it do exactly what you want it to do. That's no mean feat. So, I really believe everyone can draw, and it's not something to get worried about. I think lots of children know this already, and I'm going to ask any children listening to make sure they help any grown-ups who get frustrated that things don't look exactly like what they want them to. Practicing is a really important part of being an artist. So I think we're about ready now. You've got your equipment, get yourself comfortable. I like to sit at a table or desk, but if you don't have one, you can always rest on a big book. If you move about a lot when you draw, you'll get different sorts of drawings to when you're sitting comfortably and still. Shift about in your chair until you feel settled. If you're a grown-up, make sure your feet are comfortable on the floor. If you're a little artist, maybe you need to get some energy out before we begin. Why not do a dance to your favourite song before you sit down? Really shake it out. Make sure you wiggle those fingers, loosen those shoulders, and really stretch. So, for our first drawing challenge, I thought we would use our imagination. To begin, what I want you to do is sharpen your pencil, and I want you to take it for a walk or a slow scribble all over the page. As it's December, we're going to take inspiration from the winter season. For 30 seconds, I want you to take your pencil for a walk. I want you to use tickle pressure, which means you're not pressing down very hard. The lines should be nice and light. I've pressed a bit harder in the video just so you can see. I'm trying to make lots of different types of lines. I'm not worrying where my pencil goes. The lines are zigging and zagging, they're curving, they're crossing over. You're not trying to draw anything in particular. Just let your mind and pencil wander. Sometimes people like to do this to music. It can be really relaxing. Now I'm just going to speed up the video a little bit. You get the idea. Next I'm thinking about what sort of pen I could use to pick out different shapes. So I've got a fine liner, a handwriting pen, I've got a trusty biro and a Sharpie. I think I'm going to go with the biro. Make sure you put the lids on any pens that you've decided not to use and get them out the way. Keeping your space tidy is an important part of being an artist. This is where you have to really start to look at what you have on the page. What I want you to try and do is pick out shapes of things that could be in a winter scene. There could be bare trees that have lost their leaves, evergreen shrubs, bushy shapes, rocks, snow, icicles, snowmen, snowflakes. I'm sure you'll be able to think or see more things as you spend time looking at your continuous line drawing. It's tricky, and if you can't see anything right now, you can always put it to one side and come back later. Remember what I said about things being challenging? That's good because it means we're learning. This drawing is all about imagination. It certainly took me a while to get going. I also had to get rid of the idea that my drawing had to make sense. I wasn't bothered about the size of things or where they appeared. I also found that it helped to add some more lines to the basic shapes that were popping out to help make the thing I saw in my head appear on the paper. I really went for it with my biro, using all sorts of marks. You can see I've used scribbles, I've used lines close together called hatching. As the drawing appeared, I decided that adding colour might really help other people see what I saw in this weird and wonderful winter world. Things definitely seemed to get a bit easier once I had a few details to work from. If you're not already getting on with your continuous line drawing, you'll notice that I'm making sure I keep my pencils sharp and that when I'm adding colour, I'm thinking about blending. I'm layering different colours over the top of each other. Sometimes I'm shading in the same direction, sometimes I'm using different sorts of marks. I just want this to be a really interesting, fun drawing. There are some things I don't like very much about this drawing, and that's okay because I'm learning from it. For instance, the bird with the very dark head looks a bit sad. Here I am trying to breathe some life into him by adding some brighter colours. You can keep watching to see how I develop my continuous line drawing, or you can get on with your own now and just have me playing in the background. When you've completed your continuous line drawing, why not share it on social media? I know the Shipley Art Gallery has a Facebook page, a Twitter account and an Instagram. I bet if you tag them they'd be delighted to see it. You should also tag the People's Postcode Lottery who helped pay for this film. Ooh, you can see I'm really struggling still with that bloomin' bird. Can you see how I've tried to darken the area to try and disguise the bits that I'm not happy with. Looking back, I'm not sure that was the right decision, but that's what's great about drawing. If I wanted to do it again, I've now got something to look at. That could make it a lot easier. I could also think about cutting out sections of this drawing. I could use the smaller cut-out bits as card toppers, as labels for presents, or I could put them together in a new picture using collage. A collage is a piece of art made out of bits that are stuck together. Let's jump forward a bit. So, that drawing was all about imagination. It was about being a creative problem solver and finding things in shapes that you weren't thinking about when you drew. What was the best thing about that drawing? What was the most difficult thing? Put the drawing to one side where you can't see it. Get it out later and notice if you spot anything different. Perhaps you want to add to it, or perhaps you want to be really brave, chop it up and reimagine it. Wow, are you ready for our next challenge? This time we're going to be drawing with light, drawing with an eraser. Right at the start of this video, I asked you to find something that you could draw from. It could have been a picture of a tree in a book, it could have been an image online, it could have been something like a holly leaf or a pine cone. Here I've got a selection of things and I'm just thinking about what I'm going to use. I've plumped for the little artificial piece of fur. Not fur like a fur coat or the fur on an animal, but a fir tree. To get started, I'm trying to shade my whole sheet of paper. This could take quite a while, so I'm going to speed up the video. Do you notice how I'm moving the pencil backwards and forwards, travelling in the same sort of direction? I'm doing it diagonally across the page. I'm not pressing too hard because that would make the job even more difficult. I think in real time this took me about 2 minutes. This is another great chance to listen to your favourite song. I think 3.5 minutes is just about the right amount of time to fill your sheet of paper. And of course, I didn't say how big your piece of paper had to be. I think a piece about half the size of an A4 sheet, that's the usual size you'd find in a printer, at school, work or maybe at home, would be big enough for this task. Just imagine if you could really speed up your drawing like this. Now here I am being a little bit fussy. I've noticed that it's still a bit patchy. I'm not sure it made that much of a difference. Okay, it's all done now. So I've got my little piece of artificial fir tree and I've positioned it somewhere where I can see it easily. This is what we're going to draw with, an eraser. I start by looking at the basic shapes. You'll notice as I'm rubbing out the careful shading I've just covered the paper in, I'm trying to keep my hand off the page. I don't want to smudge it. There are 8 corners on my rubber, so I'm looking for a clean corner to create a clean line. I'll do a few swipes and then I'll change the corner of my eraser. If bits aren't bright enough, I'll rub out that section again. Did you see that big brush? I'm just using that to brush away the little bits of rubber. Here you go, a part where I'm changing the corner because it's not rubbing out very well. You'll also see on this clip I move the pine needles off the page. That's not something I would normally do when I'm drawing, move the thing I'm basing my image on. I just did it in this video so you could see the object and the drawing. So I'm feeling a little bit like the rubber's not the right thing to draw with anymore. And so I've picked up the HB pencil I used to shade the whole page, and I'm starting to put little sections of darker shading in and around, and also sometimes over the bits that I've rubbed out. This is to add a bit more definition. I've just looked at my pencil and noticed it's getting a little bit blunt. So I'm sharpening it so it has a precise point to help me get even more detail in. On the list of things I said you might need, I suggested some scraps of paper. This piece of blue cardboard is being used to protect the shaded areas below. Can you see how now I'm resting my hand on that blue bit of card so that I don't smudge the drawing, but that I can get a bit more control over the pencil? This is where I'd use another scrap of paper. I've just got a little bit of tracing paper here, and I'm putting it down, and I'm using my eraser to pick up some more of that shading to make it brighter. There's that brush again to get rid of the bits that kind of come off the rubber. This technique should help me get some really precise lines with definite edges. After adding some shadows, I think I'm more or less done with this one. When I'd finished that observational drawing, that drawing where I've looked closely, I decided just to have a bit of a play, and I've created this tree from my imagination. Notice I'm able to use the edge of the rubber this time to take away larger bits of tonal shading and make the paper really, really bright. And there it is, my drawing with light rather than with shade. You could do this with salt on black paper, and I'm sure there's lots of other ways you could create this effect. How did you find making a drawing using a rubber? Was it easy? Was it tricky? Is it something you'd like to try again? So are you ready for our next challenge? This time we're going to do drawings with a long pencil. So for this drawing you're going to need 2 pencils and some sellotape. If you haven't got any tape, you could use a hair bobble or an elastic band to fix your pencils together. You want to make one really long pencil. Normally when you make a drawing, you hold the pencil quite close to the lead, just like you would hold a pen if you were doing writing. For this challenge, I'd like you to hold the pencil as far away from the lead as you can. Position the object or the picture that you're drawing somewhere where you can see it easily. Let's get started. You aren't going to have as much control over your pencil, so you've got to forgive yourself if things look a bit wonky or not quite right. When I draw, I start off with quite light pencil pressure. Remember that tickle pressure I talked about? I begin by sketching the outline of the shapes, so there's not lots of detail in this drawing yet. Remember, I've sped up this video, so I'm actually really taking my time, making sure that the shapes I'm drawing are in the right place. I do that by comparing them to each other. You get better at this the more you practice, but I still get things wrong. That's okay. As I'm happy with the outline, I'm starting to put in a little bit more detail. There I am sharpening my pencil again, and I'm doing that because I'm about to start adding some shading. You'll notice when I'm adding my shading, I'm going right the way across the drawing. I'm not getting stuck in one point. So I'm going from the flower to the berry to the leaves to the stalk. Here I am again doing that naughty thing, moving the object that I'm drawing. Remember, you don't want to do that. I think I've gone about as far as I can with my long pencil. I need a bit more control to start adding some darker shades. So I've separated them and I'm going to sharpen my pencil again so it's ready to go. It's easier to create darker tones with a sharper pencil. So I guess that's where I'll leave you. I hope that you find these challenges quite difficult, really. I've been quite mean. I've given you quite hard things to try. But I know if you're watching this video, you must be a little bit interested in drawing. I think the type of drawing I enjoyed the most was the one with the long pencil, and it's something I'll definitely do again. I think the continuous line drawing was really hard work, but maybe that just shows I'm not that imaginative, or that I need to practice it a bit more. Before I say goodbye, remember to share any drawings that you do make with the Shipley Art Gallery. And I think we've all got to say a big thank you once again to the People's Postcode Lottery. I also want to say a big thank you for watching this video. If you know somebody who might like it, please share it with them. And I also want to thank the wonderful learning team at the Shipley Art Gallery for making this happen.